Alright, so here's the gun. It's all modified. We've already gone out and test fired it twice. It works perfectly, and I love the ability to have the magazine on it, as well as I love the accomplishment of actually getting this project done the way I wanted to do it. It did take some tools and things that I had and that I had experience with, but I'm going to take you through those steps anyway. We're going to show you those 7 easy steps that I went through to get this project done. Step number 1, plan the project. I used sticky notes to write down all the steps that needed to happen for the project to be completed, and I put them up on my wall. I later rearranged them into the order that they needed to happen for the project to be completed. Step number 2, disassemble the rifle. I already have the MagPul Magazine Well installed, so I'm going to have to disassemble it to show how it all fits back together by loosening these 2 screws. I'm also going to leave the scope on as I disassemble it, so I need to be careful. Step number 3, make measurements of the MagPul Magazine Well and the stock. The kit that I purchased for the Remington 700 short action comes with a 5-round magazine in addition to the MagPul Magazine Well. After making all of the measurements, I moved on to step number 4, design the programs to run. I also wanted to test fit these programs before I actually made cuts on the stock. The main features that I had to pay attention to were these little tabs on the side, the width at the front, width at the back, the small tab right here at the front, and the front piece of the magazine well. I had to make sure that all of those features fit snugly into the stock. Another feature that I had to pay attention to were these 2 pieces back here. Step number 4 was by far the most time-consuming part of the project. After I made all of the measurements, I used a computer-aided design software program, or CAD program, to draw out all of the profiles that needed to be cut in the stock so that the MagPul Magazine Well would fit. After everything was drawn in the CAD program, I moved on to test fitting. I used a simple method of printing out on paper the profile, cutting out the profile with an X-Acto knife, and then overlaying that profile onto the MagPul Magazine Well to look for fitment issues. When I was comfortable that everything was fitting right, I actually ran a piece of plywood on the benchtop CNC machine to see if there was any issues. The final part of step number 4 was to create a fixture that would hold the stock onto the CNC table. I used a piece of aluminum with 2 bolt standoffs and a wooden dowel to simulate the barrel of the gun. Step number 5. Run the cut program on the stock. I love this part, to actually see the machine cutting the program that I designed, and all the time that I spent making sure that things fit all comes together. With those design considerations, here are the cuts that I made. I made a cut up front, a depth cut all the way through, a pocket cut on both edges, and 2 notch cuts right in the back. Step number 6, reassemble the rifle. I did need to use 2 32/1000ths of an inch fiber washers so that there was no interference between the bolt and the magazine. I found those 32/1000ths of an inch fiber washers at Home Depot. Barrel and scope back on. Front bolt back in. Started. Rear bolt. Same thing. I'm going to snug them down really tight. All right, bolts back in. Guns back together. No interference, bolts not catching on the top of the magazine. Let's go shoot. Step number 7, test shooting. We went out on 3 different occasions and cycled about 100 rounds through the rifle. There were no feed issues, the magazines dropped well, and it really improved the functionality of this gun. Thanks for watching. This was a fun technical project for me, and it really improved the functionality of the gun. If you have any questions, email me or go visit my website. Thanks.